Steve, all of the pomp and circumstance has been removed from ringside. No Jeff G. Bailey, no NWA Elite. Otherwise, strict repercussions will be delivered from the NWA Board of Directors. Possible termination of employment is what I've been told. So you know they're not going to be involved here tonight. There will be a winner. These two, and in the ring, through their own merit and ability, despite all the dirty tactics of Rainman, he has pinned Coleman clean in the middle of the ring. He's that good. He wouldn't have held on to the World Television Championship for this long if he wasn't. But Coleman has also gotten the clean pinfall victories, 1, 2, 3, over Rainman in the middle of the ring. Now, tonight, 2 out of 3 falls, the way all of the World Championship matches of yesteryear were decided. 2 out of 3 falls in the middle of the ring. And now they're sizing each other up. Oh, and Rainman with a sucker punch out of the lockup.
Totally out of the clear blue sky. A very untraditional opening maneuver from Rainman. Rainman who's thrown more than his share of punches before, but never as the first throw.
It looks like they are going to be a battle of punches here.
Hey, Rainman wants Caprice Coleman to lose his cool, because that is a way to perhaps beat Coleman, as Coleman ducks everything that Rainman has to offer.
Well, the street savvy of Rainman is losing out to the Golden Gloves record of Caprice Coleman as he lays out the World Television Champion.
A lot of butterfly floating and bee stinging here going on for Caprice Coleman. Big, high, back, body drop, and the Soul Assassin goes flying.
Big drop kick by Coleman. And Rainman has gotten his gears knocked loose here.
Yeah, his bell has been rung, and every other cliche I can think of at the moment, as Rainman deciding to slow down the momentum of Caprice Coleman. And Coleman wants none of it. Rainman wants a breather, and Coleman's going to offer something else, namely a volley of fist to the face. Don't think that kick quite leveled Rainman. I think it's kind of meant to throw him off his track, and he's doing a pretty good job. My goodness. Coleman sends Rainman sailing into the iron post. Rainman saw that one coming.
Yeah, the Soul Assassin's done his homework here with Jeff G. Bailey Bart from ringside. We know Rainman is a very smart wrestler, and he's been training all week long. He's been watching Coleman videotapes. He is the Soul Assassin for a reason. He knows his opponents. He knows the game. He knows the sport.
And he must also know that Caprice Coleman has got to be at his hungriest. Caprice Coleman, oh, good heavens! High leg Larry with a springboard leveling the Soul Assassin. I'm sure that Rainman's got to realize that Caprice Coleman has been so close to regaining that World TV title on a number of occasions that even Coleman knows that this is the put up or shut up, to coin that off to use cliche. But it's one that's got to be eating away at Coleman. And you know there's got to be butterflies going on aplenty in the stomach of Caprice Coleman.
Irish whip clothesline by Caprice Coleman. It looks like Coleman is trying to buy himself some time. He may have been knocked a little goofy from his head crashing against the arena floor as Rainman countered the around the post kick.
And possible another part of the strategy here too, that these athletes know this is a 2 out of 3 fall matchup. So pacing yourself has got to be a key maneuver here.
Thrilla in Cornelia. In the corner, Coleman catches him, boot to the midsection, the spin scissors kick.
And the Soul Assassin meets the center of the ring face first. Coleman on top of Rainman. Rainman able to roll a shoulder very gently and very gingerly. Boy, the crowd here in the arena on the edge of their seats anticipating this matchup. As we are too.
So what was anticipated to be the biggest matchup of 2003 turned into what may be early on the biggest matchup of 2004. This chase goes back a year. Even further than that if you count their time together as a tag team in the Usual Suspects. Often 6-man tag team partners.
Well, the Usual Suspect on that team like so far long ago. The crowd chanting the name of Ice, the nickname of Caprice Coleman. And happily, actually, one of the nicest developments of this matchup that Andrew Thomas is not the referee on record for this matchup. This
Praise
seems to be about, I think it seems to be about the most even matchup indeed.
Coleman, 360 neck breaker. And Rainman has dished out the punishment quite extensively here to Coleman, but it is not letting him be derailed from his championship quest here. Caprice Coleman on the top, just too early. Too early in the matchup to be going for a risk of that magnitude, and boy, did it pay off in dividends for the Soul Assassin.
Yeah, but Coleman was in midair at the time, and wasn't much he could do to diminish the blow. But he is able to get out of the way of a charging foot from the Soul Assassin.
Coleman, and he's got a tight three-quarter Nelson. He got the first fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the first fall, Caprice Coleman.
Now can Coleman keep that momentum going and perhaps get a second consecutive fall and the World TV Championship?
I mean, Steve, he literally took the Soul Assassin out of nowhere there. It was a back suplex, but he had the fingers locked into that three-quarter Nelson position. It's an old amateur wrestling tactic, but it was enough to pin the Soul Assassin. It took him right out of surprise.
Oh, speaking of surprise, Rainman was clutching his World TV title belt, and Speedy Nelson paying attention elsewhere after a bit of a shove from the Soul Assassin. Looks like Rainman just leveled Caprice Coleman. So much for the momentum of Coleman here.
You see what a ring general the Soul Assassin is, intentionally getting the distraction of Speedy Nelson by getting his eyes raked, and he had the title belt, and he seized his target, and he attacked it.
Wait a second. Coleman is barely stirring yet. Can he even make it to his feet?
Just got hit in the face with a World Television Championship. 17 pounds of gold right to the face.
Looks like with one belt shot, Rainman has pretty much destroyed Caprice Coleman. Unless Coleman is perhaps playing possum here, but I don't really think so. What a volley of fist, a symphony of fists to the skull of Caprice Coleman. And the challenger Coleman, is in rough shape and a blatant choke. And I don't think the Soul Assassin cares one iota.
Well, the Soul Assassin pounding on the neck of Caprice Coleman in the head.
And Coleman looks like anything but the winner of the first fall.
Sit out power slam by the World Television Champion. Rainman makes the cover. But Coleman is not gaga enough to be pinned.
As dangerously close as he was to said the gaga, still was not enough for a successful pin by Rainman here, and Caprice Coleman is up one fall.
But Rainman continues dishing out the punishment.
And Rainman is not used to being in a position where he is down zip to one. And Coleman on his back, able to get a couple of feet out to the gut of Rainman. That's good, I would say thinking on your feet, but that's thinking on your back. Oh, Lord almighty. Shades of his former tag team partner, Myrtle One, with that blazing lariat leveling the challenger, Caprice Coleman.
Well, Rainman was toying with Coleman when he probably should have been pinning him. He was taunting the crowd, and that is not a typical tactic for Rainman. It cost him spine splitter. And this could spell a second fall victory for Rainman.
Oh, no, check that. Coleman able to get his shoulder up.
Wait a minute. He's got him locked in a hillside strangler. Few have ever escaped the clutches of this deadly hold.
And Coleman, the proximity to the ropes is somewhat far. No, he's only exactly about a foot away, and Rainman realized it and dragging Coleman to the center of the ring. Oh, this is bad news for Coleman.
Coleman was so close. He was so close. And now he's inching with everything he's got. Everybody knows that once the hillside strangler is applied, it's lights out. And Coleman is trying his damnedest to fight unconsciousness.
And Rainman is trying his damnedest to drag Coleman to the center of the ring.
Coleman is fighting his damnedest to stay alive here. And there's one. Coleman showing a little bit of life, but not much. There's two.
And that is it. That's it. Speedy Nelson calling for the bell for the second fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the second fall, knotting this one at one fall apiece, Rainman.
Well, the Soul Assassins knocked him out, and he's going to go for a quick third fall cover. He's out.
And Coleman, I'm not sure how he pulled it off, is able to get a kick out. The crowd chanting eyes is certainly instrumental in the incentive and the inspiration behind the arsenal, the offensive arsenal, and defensive as well of Caprice Coleman. The crowd just dying for the World TV Championship reign of Rainman to perhaps end here this evening.
Rainman continuing to punish the back of the neck of Caprice Coleman. He made him pass out. I do not believe that Caprice Coleman found it within him to kick out, but he did. But he's still got a long road to hoe.
Dory Funk Jr.-like forearms of Caprice Coleman topped it off with a big leg drop to the back of the neck of Coleman. Rainman rolling up. Caprice Coleman kicking out, actually with authority too, no less. A lot of fight left in Coleman. You know he's got to be gutting out some serious pain.
Well, Caprice Coleman looks to be rubbery-legged as anyone I've ever seen here, but he's summoning a second win. Somehow within it, Caprice Coleman is fighting Rainman somehow.
Very desperate offensive maneuvers from Coleman. They take your opportunities when you can get them. And Coleman running blind right into a foot of the Soul Assassin.
Coleman is literally running on fumes here, Steve.
Yeah.
Coleman is in the ropes. Rainman going for the cover.
And with Rainman, it seemed like he grabbed the tights of Coleman too. Obviously now the frustration factor is figuring into the Soul Assassin, looking for some of those shortcuts.
Well, as great a wrestler he is, you know he's not afraid to take those shortcuts.
Yeah, he's won more than a few matches with him. Oh, a charging baseball slide onto Coleman. And Coleman collapses over that bottom rope. Once again, the time is in the favor of the champion as always. And if Rainman keeps Caprice Coleman outside the ring, that is to the benefit of the champion as always.
And especially when you get into a fighting situation like this. But Coleman sends Rainman head first into the guardrail, possibly evening the odds. And I say possibly.
That's true, but Caprice Coleman knows you can't win a World TV title championship matchup on the floor of the NWA Arena. It's got to be in the ring. And Coleman with a super kick that hits the mark, and Rainman collapses in a heap.
Both individuals down on the arena floor.
Boy, that guy in the front row is a spooky guy.
And Speedy Nelson, look, the front row's cleared out because of him. See all the fans here in the NWA Arena. Nobody wants to sit by that guy. Both guys out on the floor.
And Coleman seemingly the first guy to his feet.
Nelson's got to get him in the ring. That was the stipulation. There must be a winner. And that super kick from Coleman may very well have been all he needed.
And what he needs is to get Rainman in the ring. And as Rainman meets head first up with that corner pole, and Rainman, boy, he's in rough shape. But can Coleman keep this offensive going? Can he keep this momentum going? Rainman is known as one man who can absorb an awful lot of punishment only to emerge the victor. He's done that so many times. Boy, and Rainman, boy, with a haymaker right into the face of Caprice Coleman.
Both of these guys have sustained so much punishment, it's slowing them down.
Boy, Speedy Nelson showing no signs of making any count out here. He wants both these athletes in the ring. He wants to see a winner. There must be a winner.
Nelson should try to get these guys in the ring. The matchup can't end out here.
Rainman bringing Coleman to his feet and rolling him under the bottom rope. And the potent offense of Rainman is in full display and on parade here tonight in your main event on NWA Wildside with the World TV Championship hanging in the balance.
Big standing drop kick from the Soul Assassin.
And Coleman, perhaps down. No! Coleman able to kick out once again with authority. Yeah, that wasn't any dainty kick out at all. And Rainman was obviously the first person to notice that. What is it going to have to take to wear Caprice Coleman down? This is the first time these two athletes have met up in a 2 out of 3 fall matchup. So the chemistry of this matchup is entirely different than the one fall affairs we've seen over the past 6 or 7 months.
Rainman is just pummeling Coleman here. He is pummeling every ounce of fight and life that Coleman would have remaining in his body.
As Rainman actually bringing Coleman up to his feet. Perhaps the Rainman should keep Coleman down on the mat.
Been a lot of brawling from these two here. Rainman Irish whip. Coleman gets underneath. Wait a minute. There's the cold snap.
Oh, with a fraction of a second to spare, Rainman gets that left shoulder up.
Amazing that Rainman kicking out there. Now these odds are really even. Coleman scored there, and he scored big with the cold snap. But still not enough, Steve. Not enough to incapacitate the World TV champ.
You only have to incapacitate him for 3 seconds. The count of Speedy Nelson's hand hitting the mat for 3 consecutive hits. And Coleman once again being dropped on his back as the Soul Assassin slowly crawls up to the top turnbuckle, and Coleman answers with a swift kick to the head.
Both of these guys are winded here, Steve.
Yeah, no kidding. Who wouldn't be?
Both of them are winded. This is a tooth and nail battle as we're tied at 1 fall apiece for the World Television Championship. There's the thermal shock. There's the thermal shock. But can Coleman cover?
He's going to have to do it quickly. Do it immediately.
He's got the leg hook. No.
Too much time had elapsed from the thermal shock's impact to Caprice Coleman slowly making his way over to the fallen body of Rainman. When I say too much time, it was only a few seconds, but that's all the time that Rainman needed.
And now both of these men are down, both are hurt, both are in the last portions of their gas tank. What a hard-fought contest this has been. Only the true winner deserves it. Wait a minute. Rainman the butt bomb, and he's got the hillside strangler locked, Steve. He's got it locked.
That's how he won the second fall, and he's well on his way to winning the third and final one.
He's got it locked in. Where is Coleman going to go? He is within arm's length of the rope. Can he make it?
But Rainman is the man to keep his opponent away from the hold-breaking maneuver of grabbing that rope. Is Rainman in any shape to keep Coleman from grabbing that rope? And Coleman does that. He grabs the second rope, forcing Rainman to break the hold. Rainman is not particularly eager to do such.
Rainman is refusing to break the hold, and Nelson needs to make him break this. He needs to make him break the hold.
And Coleman putting the entire weight of Rainman on his back and running the Soul Assassin's back right into the turnbuckle.
Well, Rainman is refusing to break this hold. Nelson's got to get in there. Finally, Coleman breaks the hillside strangler. No thanks to the Wildside senior official.
And a series of back elbows from Coleman.
Coleman's got him up over his head. The comatose.
New TV champion.
The winner of the third fall and new television champion, Caprice Coleman.
12 months the Soul Assassin has held on to the World TV Championship despite some incredible odds. But of course, Jeff G. Bailey and the NWA Elite often at his side. Didn't have him here tonight. We've seen the Rainman with some incredible matches all by himself. It's been rare, but once since tonight, in 2 out of 3 falls, Caprice Coleman grabbed the brass ring and became the new World TV Champion.
Well, fans, you have officially witnessed the end of an era. The longest reigning television champion in NWA Wildside history. Well over a year, the Soul Assassin Rainman tonight, his era came to an end. What an amazing, amazing matchup as we begin 2004. The chapter on the World Television Championship reign of Rainman is over now. It's closed. A new one begins as a 2-time World Television Champion emerges in Caprice Coleman. And I can't think of a better thing to send us off with than the new champion in the ring. Steve, what an amazing match. What an amazing night of NWA Wildside. I'm Dan the Dragon Wilson, fans.
And I'm Steven Prazak. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible evening of NWA Wildside as the dressing room is emptying out to congratulate the new World TV Champion. I'll tell you, the entire dressing room so envious of the physical gifts of Caprice Coleman, so envious of the hunger this man has had for so long after losing the World TV Championship, not in a match, but because he was unable to defend it due to that injury. Well, all that time had elapsed. He got his opportunities. He had many of them. But tonight, pay dirt. The new World Television Champion for NWA Wildside, my friends, it's Caprice Ice Coleman. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we hope to have you back again at your nation's #1 pro wrestling alternative. We'll see you then, fans.